Hey, thanks so much for joining Laura Lerman. And I'm here with Helen Panos, and we're here with Lerman team on the local. Helen, tell us a little bit about what you do and about your company.
Oh, thank you for having me. First of all, I got to thank you for letting me come and be a part of this. I've always wanted to connect with you, and I'm like, yay, we're finally going to do it. So I'm up here in Alpharetta, and well, my company is Dynamis Learning. It's a K through 12 tutoring, SAT, ACT prep company. It's also advocacy, because that's a very important part I'm adding in, because I feel like parents are missing that missing piece to the puzzle, I call it.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and I would have, 10 years ago, it would have been so nice to have you by my side.
All the time. I hear it all the time. So, and that becomes even more important now, I feel like, because I'm getting a lot more calls. They don't know what that's called, but I hear it, and they're trying to navigate the school system. And they can't, but we do SAT, ACT prep, SSAT as well. We're doing study skills webinars. I have one coming up in March that we're going to actually open up to the public. And normally I do it for schools. And so I have a terrific tutor that works with me on that. And we have a lot of inside information that most people don't know about, right? I mean, the schools are interesting. Yeah. They keep you communicated with through newsletters and things like that, but they only give you what they think you need to know.
Yeah,
you got to kind of go. It's like a treasure hunt where you got to kind of go looking more, right? And kind of ask a lot of questions, which parents are busy and they don't have time to do that.
Well, and as a parent, we don't always know what questions to ask, right? So to have somebody there, it's amazing, because I was doing it by myself when I was navigating it. So. You do the SATs, the ACTs. You also do tutoring. So tell me a little bit about how your tutoring works with your students. I know you do a lot of online, which is great.
Yes,
in today's
we do at least 90% of the business now is actually virtual, and that's why we can be nationwide, which we are. We have kids in California. We've done Idaho, Texas, and Virginia so far. So I definitely, I can help anybody, not just in the Atlanta area or Alpharetta. But I listen to what a parent needs. This is very important. With my years of experience, which is 25 plus, I know kind of things that parents are saying to me, and then I match them up with what I feel is the good tutor for that child. If they tell me the child's autistic, they tell me the child has got a lot of ADHD or whatever, we kind of already go, oh, our antennas go up, and we're like, okay, we approach this child a little differently. Which is why I say we customize it to meet your needs. Right now, I'm working a lot about Georgia milestones, because it's springtime, and really that should be going on all year, because kids are now testing all the time. Most of the school systems, including Fulton, is doing iReady, doing MAP testing, and there's tricks and things that you need to know about that. I mean, I think the days are gone where you could just assume your child should walk in and just take a test, and then you didn't know what happened, because these tests will flag them now if they answer questions too quickly, which an ADHD brain will do. Correct. And then right now we're dealing with that in East Atlanta, where we're really working differently with that child and pointing that out to him. Hey, did you realize you did this? Right. And even though he's medicated, it's interesting that I don't think you really realize it, and the importance of the test and what they use those for is about course recommendations. Right. And maybe the child get into a gifted program. Right. And I've seen a lot of kids that are very highly intelligent that are ADHD. It's breaking my heart that they're not in a gifted program. And they can be. And you can be dual classified. You could be special ed and gifted. I mean, I was seeing that a lot as I was a gifted lead. Right. So I will help kids get into the gifted program. And as we're talking, I'll be going up to Milton to do that in a little bit.
So I'd like to talk about that a little bit. You talk a lot about your past history and kind of what you've done to lead up to here as an educator. So tell us a little bit about what you've done and how you formed your program, because the way you tutor is yours. It's your baby. It's your program. This is how you think works best with the kids and the family. So kind of give us a little bit of idea of your background, how you got here, and how you created the program.
Yeah, so I think what made me start the company was when all this testing started actually becoming a big thing, and they were going to really use the data, and they really are to this day, because I'm talking, this has probably been about 8 years ago that they really started going to the TEKS evaluation for teachers, and they were really going to start using testing. And they do. They use it for a lot of things.
They do.
And I think that needs to be discussed with the child. And not only from the parent, because they may not want to hear it from you as a parent, but I hear that all the time. Parents are like, can you talk to them? Can you do this? Because they won't listen to me. So we definitely talk to them about that too. If we have to, we'll help. If we see there's an organizational issue, we'll help with that, because schools cannot do that. So I realized the holes and the gaps that were before COVID, really, that I know that teachers can't touch that. They can't, they don't have time to do everything. And I think maybe what COVID did do is wake up parents and everybody to, wow, teachers do have quite a job going on
when
over
they
there.
started teaching.
It's not like it was when we went to school. And I believe ADHD and all those things were there. If I look back at stuff, they just didn't know what that was, and they didn't have all these things to help figure it out. Now we have strategies, and we have coaches that can help with that, and tutoring people can help with that. But I'm different from a Mathnasium, a whatever, a Sylvan, a Huntington, if they're even still around, Varsity Tutors or whatever. First of all, I am an educator of 25 plus years, so I understand the inside system and what they're looking for. And all my tutors, a lot of them are educators to this day, and they also clue me in, and we all collaborate together as a team talking about, you know, something that we feel like if I can't figure it out, I'll go to one of my tutors and ask them. So I have a voice in the background where they are like, yeah, do this, Helen, or yeah, you might want to do this.
Got it.
Like one of my tutors just told me the other day, hey, can you fill in for me for a couple of weeks? I need to finish up the yearbook at school. I'm like, sure. And so she was telling me how this child, we're doing him virtually, and he's like grabbing on to the top of his bunk bed and being distracted and everything. And he has ADHD, but his medicine is wearing off. So the mom and I talked, and I said, please go back to your pediatrician and talk to them about the medicine, number one.
Sure.
Well, schools are not going to tell you this stuff. So I said, I think you need to make sure. She told me what she was doing. I said, well, the drug can not only last till noon, because what's going on the rest of the afternoon with him at school?
Function.
Yeah, so she went back to the pediatrician and they changed the drug, and he's much better.
Good.
I wish the tutoring could happen a little bit earlier than it does, because he's involved in soccer or something after school, so it gets pushed back. And right now she's not giving him a booster.
Got it.
Because she's afraid he's going to be up later in the evening, right? So, but I've been tutoring him on, I've gotten them Georgia Milestones books. I've told the parents what to get.
Right.
And what tool. I mean, I've asked school systems about that, and they're like, oh, we don't really have anything to tell you to specifically to get, other than the DOE does have some questions on there, but they also have the answers right there.
Next to it,
So that doesn't work too well. But at least it gives you the questions. And so what I figured out was, like, he is a very good test taker in terms of multiple choice. It's the writing that continues to be a problem.
Right.
And these writing components on the Georgia Milestones are very difficult. So even the smartest of kids are having a hard time with them.
Right.
And I heard the new SAT digital is the same way, that the kids are having a hard time with it. That just rolled out Saturday on the 9th of March. So it's already in the paper.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, by 4:30 they were already like releasing information about that test. So they just finished it up probably at noon. So, but I think, you know, we look at the whole picture, what's going on at the school. We may get involved with the teacher too. If parents give us permission, we will email the teacher and ask specific questions.
Well, you advocate. You advocate so hard. You fill the buckets and you advocate, and I love that about you guys.
Yeah, because parents send them to school on the bus, and then they're like,
we're clueless.
And then it's whatever they hear from the kid.
Correct. We're clueless.
And then sometimes you don't have time to email the teacher, or you don't think you should.
Right.
And really, you should. I pretty much told this parent, be in their face nicely, but I want you to send them an email. And this is what it should say.
Yeah.
And then so I kind of know what to tell parents. And that's the advocacy piece of our program that we're rolling out too, is to get more involved with the teacher in the school
well, you have
and
to hold
asking the right questions.
Yeah, and you have to hold them accountable. So now when I was on your website, you had 6, this will be our last question. You had 6 different things that you tell parents to look for if they're kind of wondering if their kid needs tutoring or needs help. Kind of walk us through those 6 things. What does that look like?
If I can remember what they are. Well, I mean, I'd say the things to look for are, of course, the struggling is the typical one. Like if it's a younger child and you're seeing them struggling with reading. Okay. Another big deal I've seen with kids that are in 6th grade, whether they're intelligent or not, they're still reading, like if they're ADHD, they're still reading these graphic novels that don't have a lot of words to it. Right. And they're already wrapping up 6th grade almost. And that is a big no-no. Right. I mean, they should be reading chapter books that have a lot of words. And the kids will tell me. The parent will go get the book and they'll show it to me. And they're like, oh, but I need a lot of these pictures. I go, no, you really don't anymore.
You have an imagination.
Well, you don't anymore. They get overwhelmed over too many words on a page. But then again, there's strategies to help them not get overwhelmed. But they've got to go ahead and mature and get past that hump and be reading regular books. And that comes to my point of SAT, ACT, I mean, we're seeing a big issue with reading and vocabulary and kids knowing vocabulary. So other than just reading a book, they should be doing something with those words and having them actually doing an exercise with that, or they're not going to learn them. If you just pick up a phone and start looking at the words, you're like, are you going to remember those vocabulary words later on? Probably not. You want to build up a vocabulary base.
Agreed.
So I was teaching this kid online the other day on Sunday, and I was showing him, well, if you don't know what the word loaf means, then the way you can do this is you look at the different answers and say, is this a positive word? Is this a negative word? Is this a positive or negative or neutral word? And what is loaf? Does that sound like it's positive or negative? Let's say you don't know the word at all. Then you kind of look to see if you think that sounds like it's a positive or a negative word.
Got it.
And you can kind of at least try to get the answer right that way.
Right.
So that's a strategy that kids are not going to know to do.
No, and they don't teach it in the school. No. I have kids that have learning disabilities, and I have kids that are accelerated. And, you know, both groups needed different strategies. They needed different things that helped them with the way they learned. And it was, when we finally got an IEP, it was like, oh my God, you could almost breathe, because then you did get taught some of the strategies. But again, I still wish I had you, because I think it would have been a lot easier. Well, Helen, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so fun. Remember, if you guys would like to contact Helen, we'll post all of our contact stuff in the comments below. If you found this helpful, please like, follow, and share. We'll see you soon. Bye.